We are live, mate. Thanks for joining again. The most frequent guest, I think, now by far.
Most featured. Yeah, I haven't seen the viewers haven't been going up though, so maybe there's something wrong with me.
No, I think that's more us, mate. We just don't reach many people. But like, remember when I was texting you and them screenshots during the updates when the girl from my gym were like panicking because I'd not uploaded an episode on Spotify.
She wanted to know how the story ended.
Yeah, so it's all it's gone full circle because I feel like we never really had a wash up after finding out the news that you guys had qualified. So as I put in
we
your,
can give her some peace of mind now.
And as I put in the thing, double CrossFit Games athlete. How does it feel?
It feels good. I think it's obviously very different to what we expected or would have envisioned, because I guess like the dream in my head, even though things never go to plan, was like qualifying on the floor at a semi-finals, and like that's the thing. Now we obviously don't get that because it was in the gym, but I think that will come as we're there and we're kind of soaking it all in and everything like that. And I think the reason it was such a big goal and it was such a big thing to, especially for me and Helen, because I guess we've been doing that together the whole time, was that I feel like our first experience at the games, it was very stressful because of COVID and there was all these travel things. It was like if you turned up on day one and someone tested positive for COVID, the whole team's out and you're done. So there's all that surrounding it that was stressful. And then the whole games just kind of like flew by, and it was hard to like soak it in and like really kind of, I don't know, like build some really good memories, because it was all just such a rush. And I think, well, I know this from experience doing higher level comps and more comps and things. It's like the more experience you have, the easier it is to then kind of look around and appreciate what it is you're doing and like take your time a little bit more. And you know how like, they when you talk about like the best athletes of all time, like in any sport, it looks like they've got loads of time. So it's like a footballer, they've got loads of time on the ball and it's like that. And that is true. And they feel like they have more time as well because they've got experience. They're a lot more composed. They're much calmer. They can take in their surroundings a lot better. They're not frantic. So I think for us, it's just going to be a case of that. We get to go into this. We get a good block of training. Hopefully the travel and stuff isn't too stressful, because last time it was like literally as stressful as it could be, and we can just soak it all in and also just perform very well as well, because we've got that experience. Because Kerry went in 2022 as well, and I imagine she's probably looking for something similar as well. I think she kind of felt like not that her team checked out, but it's like they kind of qualified and then that was kind of it. And it wasn't like aiming for performance or placing necessarily at the games, because it was all a very new thing for them. So similarly to us, it's like it's now about going and competing and trying to place as well as we can, rather than just getting like washed up in the craziness and the excitement of it all, really.
Yeah. So like, when you talked about that, the last time you were there, it kind of just all happened so fast. Is there, what is it that you can do to sort of take it in more? Because I'm guessing like the travel is the travel. When you get there, you're going to go through the motions pretty quick. You're getting from one event into the next and all that. What do you think you can do to sort of take a step back and slow down a little bit and appreciate it? Because it is frantic by its nature, isn't it?
I think it's just like overstimulating. It's like stimulus overload, and the more familiar you are with your surroundings, the slower it seems to go. So it's like all the like I said before when we were talking about it, I think we hadn't really done loads of competing in person because everyone was still kind of like new to it. So when I went to Strength and Depth and did RX, and there's like games athletes there, I was like, fucking hell, like this is so sick. Like there's all these people, and it's when you've been around it for longer, those things don't catch your attention. They're not overstimulating. So then the whole thing just kind of moves slower and you can focus more on yourself and the things that are important, rather than being like, yeah, it's just crazy. And I think the only way you can really do that is through experience. Or you've got someone who's just like totally cool, calm and collected the whole time. They've maybe got a bit of like, they're on the spectrum a bit, so they're not getting overloaded with stuff. They're just like a bit numb to it all. But that's kind of how I see it. And I think with a lot of athletes, like especially younger athletes, that is what you see. Like you see a lot of potential, and then they'll go and do an event in person. Maybe they won't perform as well as they could, but it's because of all this new stuff that's going around. It's like they'll do so well in qualifiers because they're in familiar environments. They'll go to the big stage, all these people, the fans, like setting up for events, like all that stuff. There's so many variables that it just kind of overwhelms them a bit, and just like it's exhausting and it's not as enjoyable. So yeah, hopefully all those things are good. I'm sure there will be an ample dose of stress, as there always is, but I think it'll probably be a much more enjoyable experience than it has been in the past.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because Tom Kingdon, he mentioned to me, I don't know if it was on air or off, but he said when he was at Wadapalooza, he got a bit of that because he's such a fan of the sport. It was at this prestigious event that he's watched all his life, and he's around these athletes that he respects and looks up to. So he got there and he was a bit like rabbit in headlights sort of thing. And
yeah, because for me, I know that Mike would say the same as this as well, is that I got to compete against Rich Fronin like a number of different times. So we would have done probably like Sid, we would have done the games, and then also we did this competition in Italy, which was like a really small field of teams. It was maybe only like 10, and there was like an Invictus team there, Mayhem team there, and we got to actually spend like a fair amount of time around those people. And to be honest, when you've rubbed shoulders with someone like Rich Fronin multiple times and you've spoken, it's like I don't really care about anyone else that much. Like when I was getting into it, like he's like one of the guys, right? So I think that helps with the experience too, because as you get older and you compete more, the people you look up to move out, and then the people that are competing against you are just your peers. So it's not the same, is it? Like it's not like this big awestruck thing. So Tom's probably got a little bit of a way to go on that still, but I imagine he's learning the lesson a little bit.
Yeah, he will, and he's. I know he's speaking to you guys, him and Max as well, so that'll help him with that experience piece as well. Because I know Mike mentioned something about it as well, so should be good for him. So talk me through the process, mate. So obviously you do your workouts, you finish them. You came on here. You were saying there was something about you, mate. Like I've known you a while, but you were like. You weren't just your normal dickhead self-confident. You were really, really confident in a way that, I don't know, there was something different about you. So it was amazing to see it. But what did you do that night? Are you like, the night when the scores go live? Are you just like refreshing all night? Did you get any sleep? How did it look?
I went to bed a little bit later than I normally would. I think probably just because of like caffeine and stuff like that. Then I went to sleep. I slept like fine. I didn't wake up in the middle of the night. And then I didn't have my watch on for whatever reason. I woke up at like what was like 5 a.m. So it's not that early. But I was just like, fuck, I'm awake now. And I was just laying there. I was like, I don't know what time it is. And if it's like 3 a.m. in the morning, I want to go back to sleep, because as soon as I see the thing, I'm not going back to sleep. Anyway, I'm laying there and I'm just like, don't look. Like I could feel my phone like humming almost. It's just like sitting there. And in the end, I think Helen like stirred, or maybe like the cat came in or something. And I was just like, fuck it. Like if she's awake now, she's probably going to look at a bit as well. So I looked, and I saw a few text messages be like, congratulations, but I didn't really read them. I just went straight to the leaderboard. And, I kind of didn't see it because I thought I'd have to scroll down at least once.
I did that. Sorry.
and I saw it and I was like, we're above like Invictus and Mayhem, and I was like, okay, fuck, that's pretty sick. And then I told Helen, and then we just kind of like laid there like, this is kind of odd. Like this is a bit of an odd thing. Then we went downstairs, and because it was a bank holiday as well, so Helen wasn't working. She only works on a Monday morning. Or she had work off. I can't remember. And we then just watched like a Lion King thing on Disney. like at like 5:30 in the morning, and I was like fell asleep on the sofa, and I was just like, then the film finished, and we were just like, what a weird way to start the week. Like normally it's like the week starts and you're just getting you're doing all the things, you know, like you're getting yourself set up, and it was like, but it was good. And we haven't really celebrated it because we wanted to celebrate in France because we just did French Throwdown, but things didn't really go that smoothly. OJ was ill, so it was kind of like that was a bit of an anticlimax as well. So I guess the celebrations are still pending.
Just going back to what you said about scrolling, I did the same. Like I don't know why, but I was like, you know, like if you qualified, I was like, right, we'll take that like bottom 5 places. I don't mean that in a dickhead way, but so I scrolled down, I was like, oh fuck. And then when I kept scrolling, I was like, well, I know they'll beat that team from UK and that team. So I went back up and I was like, fucking hell. Insane.
I think I probably said it to you though. I was like, we're either like well in there, like we're well in, or we're out, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever, because we executed as well as we could have. Like we did everything we could with the 4 people we had, the facilities, the workouts, everything. It was like all perfect. So I was like, we're either well in the mix, like we were, or we're just out, and that's just it. Like it's not. That's it, you know.
Yeah, they didn't review any videos either, did they? So you didn't have to worry about that.
They did. They collected stuff for the running workout. Like they did that like straight away, but then I didn't hear anything of the other workouts.
Yeah, apparently they just didn't. They didn't do anything. Like
it's interesting because we've all just had an email about drugs testing and like whereabouts testing. I'm assuming it's because there's a lot of athletes that have qualified online and obviously filled out the whereabouts form, and it's like, they're going to go through they're like going through the effort of, I mean, I don't know to what extent they're going to do it, but they're going to go through the effort of like sending out drugs testing teams, but then they maybe weren't reviewing stuff. But I don't know if anyone has the guys turn up. I imagine it'd probably be us because we've got like 6 athletes in one place. Like if they're trying to be as efficient as possible with that, they probably should come to Blueprint and hit us all up. But you literally have no idea what they're going to do. Like it
doesn't sound very CrossFit, that level of efficiency, mate. They'll probably come to you 3 separate times at Blueprint.
I know they've done whereabouts testing before, but I thought it was like they'd have athletes in the pool that were like all the higher level guys, and they might hit them in their off season sometime. But all the online qualifiers have just had that. So I think Masters as well, potentially as well.
So in terms of the team and stuff and how it looks, mate, have you given Lois any shit for being a bad luck charm?
No, because we don't know this. So Mike said that if you guys qualify, what was he saying? He was saying like, if you guys don't qualify, it shows that I wasn't the common denominator, because when he left the team, we didn't qualify. Lois leaves the team and we qualify. However, Ads was in another country at like Wadland, or he was at the Wadland thing. So no one knows if it's Lois or Ads that are the bad luck charm. Because Mike basically did all the support for the weekend in terms of coaching. So she's actually safe on that at the moment. I guess if we come 20th at the games, then we could maybe say Ads is the bad luck charm.
So what? Yeah, since we talk about that, then at the games, what is the aspiration at the games now?
This is interesting actually, because it's we actually finished 9th, so you generally don't want to finish lower than you qualify. Obviously, it doesn't always happen that way, and the workouts are very different and all that kind of stuff. But the 2 highest finishing teams from the UK, I think JST came 10th one year, and then Motion, the year that we went, came 4th, but 2 of the Motion team were Dutch. So it's a UK affiliate, but 2 of their team was Dutch. So if we got inside the top 10, I would be like, we are the highest ranking British team. because Kerry's from Northern Ireland as well, so she's not Irish. She's from Northern Ireland. So the passport's the same. So I guess really that's kind of the goal. But a lot of the time at competitions, it's so hard to like set expectations and goals like with margins like that, and when it's so varied. So I think I'd be very satisfied with placing inside the top 10 or like top 9 even if we qualified in 9th, and then anything higher than that I'm just going to be more pleased, I guess.
Yeah. And then since we asked the question last time and you're all there, who will finish the highest? Your team, Harry Lightfoot or Amy Kringle?
You know what? I can't even begin to fathom that. Because the only thing is because the individuals have 30 in their field, right? And we have 20. So if all three of us come last, by default, the team finishes higher. But the thing with the individuals is the qualification this year has been quite weird. So like weird people have snuck in that might not necessarily do that well. And I don't mean any disrespect to anyone here, but like some of these in-person events, because no one really knows what to expect, like some of these in-person events, like the second person getting the spot or something like that has been like not someone that you'd actually put in the top 30 in the world, but it's all kind of circumstantial. Now, in terms of the athletes, like they just need to play the field in front of them, right? And that's that. Like you go to the competition that gives you the best chances of progressing, and whatever's there on the day, that's what you're fortunate enough to have to deal with. So I actually don't know. Like I think both of them finished around 20th last year. Amy was maybe just inside, Harry was maybe just outside. I would expect, because both of them qualified through online, which is a lot more competitive, I would expect both of them inside the top 20. She's just come off performing very well at World Fitness Project. Like she can really go on stuff. So
did she actually try there? Because most of the athletes just turned up to get paid, didn't they?
Well, yeah, there's a little bit of that as well. The thing is with Amy, she's one of those athletes that like you get people that are very different. You get people that like they'll massively rise to the occasion or they'll really peak hard, whereas she's kind of just in like pretty good shape all year round. Like, I don't notice massive fluctuations in her performance. The only time I ever actually had was after World Fitness Project. She was just like absolutely shattered, and then she'll be back to that. So, you can pretty much predict how she's going to perform because it's always kind of there. Whereas some athletes need to time things really well. So, I actually don't know what their goals are either. So our goal is top 10. I don't know what their goals are. So I actually can't answer the question. I can't even think about it, to be honest.
I was just trying to put you on the spot, mate, and be difficult.
Yeah, I can't, because before I had an answer, right, and I was pretty like certain of it. Whereas now I'm like, I don't even know.
I ain't even got a soundbite out of this one, then, have I?
Yeah, I don't even know.
So, just slightly off subject then, but since you mentioned that about Amy and her sort of being good to go all year round, is that, like from an athlete point of view, obviously you do a lot of coaching and training with elite level athletes of all calibers. Is that just dependent on the person? Will there be some people that come in and you'll be like, right, after a little bit of getting to know them and understanding how they operate, you'd be like, right, we need to peak here and taper here. Or the athletes where you're like, Jesus, you're just like built to go all year round, so let's just fucking go for it. Or do you have to make that call?
I would definitely say it's a quality that people have. Like you can, and you often find out when you're just comparing how they perform in training relative to competition, and people that aren't even close to a competition, so they're not close to like peaking, are like doing similar stuff to they do at the competition. This is someone that's like always kind of at this level of preparedness. In my opinion, I think it's much better to train people to have like peaks and troughs so that it's very cyclical, because I think that you have to detrain people in order for them to become sensitive again to training to then get them to peak higher. But then there is certain people that you could even like try and do that with them, but it is like a something they're kind of predisposed to. But she competes so frequently that she'll always just be kind of riding this level of fitness. If she maybe had a lot of time off and periodized things around one event or some like one particular thing, you might see these a bit more. Because then Harry, on the flip side, his training, just because I know more about his training, really, is very periodized in terms of peaks and troughs, and they'll remove things so that he becomes sensitive to it. They'll bring them back in, and then he'll like ride the wave of adaptation again, going back into the competition. And I think that it's an individual thing, it's a training thing, it's a strategy thing. I also think there's sexual differences as well. I think guys will generally have bigger fluctuations in performance than ladies. That's like, there probably is some kind of science to back that. Women can generally tolerate more volume than guys can, so they can probably just perform at like a bit of a higher level, like a higher ceiling, of like closer to their ceiling, like more of the time. But yeah, it's like, because you could probably, me looking at athletes like elite CrossFitters that I don't know and I know nothing about their training, I could probably pull people and give a good guess of like what they're kind of like. Are they very phasic, or do they kind of just ride a very like continuous level of fitness the whole time? Because like someone like Fronem, so much longevity, and his fitness levels are obviously now declining, but it's more because of just like age and wear and tear. But he appeared to me as someone who's like always just kind of at a good level of fitness, never has these massive spikes. Whereas like Fraser, for example, he would only build to one real big event a year, have massive off seasons, and I imagine his fitness would probably fluctuate a bit more. And he would also talk about being not fit for for things. And then obviously when he's peaked and he's at the games, he's doing stuff, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like, this is like, where's this even coming from? But it's because he's peaked himself perfectly for the event, right? And he's now exceeding what he'd normally be able to do. But it's a very interesting thing, and it's something that athletes should be aware of and come to terms with what they're more like and what would suit them better for competitions. It's like, if you talk about Tom, like something that's relatable, like the amount that guy competed in the last 2 years, he would have been progressing the whole time, but then he's just come off of this really good semi-finals performance. And it's actually because if you then look at like the last 6 months, he's not done as much as he usually would. Like he's just been training more. It's probably intentional, I imagine, because he's like, I've got to double down on that. And he's done like Wodapalooza, he's done semi-finals, and there was probably about 15 Battle for Middle Grounds he could have done in those, in between the two of them, that he hasn't done.
Yeah. You know, like, I guess as an athlete then, is it, you know, like if you're going to go on that model and it suits your body to sort of have peaks and troughs, do they have to like keep their ego in check because they're going to get a little bit worse at things that might come up, but that's by design? And is it only a certain kind of athlete that can mentally process that as well, do you think?
That's why I said it's like, it's important for people to be in touch with that, because like for myself, I very much am very big peaks and troughs. So if people beat me in workouts in training, or like I'm retesting a workout that was like a competitive workout I did when I'm peaked, half the time I'm just trying to match or just beat my previous self, because I appreciate that the environment's not the same. I'm definitely not in the same shape unless I am peaking. And yeah, you do need to understand these things. And normally it really starts with like, if you're doing the CrossFit Games season, it will generally start with around the Open, that you're like, I need to appreciate that I'm not as fit as I'll be for this. So the better I do now, like the more confidence I can have, rather than being like putting pressure on yourself and being like, I have to do well, otherwise I'm shit and I've not made any progress. So that's generally how I look at it. Like whenever the Open comes round, I don't want any workouts that are good for me, and I want to do as well as I can with the understanding that I'm not at my top level of fitness. So because I'll push it 100%. Like I'm doing it like seriously, but if something doesn't go my way, I'm like, yeah, like I'm not I'm not quite there yet, so that's fine. And I think that's probably the best mindset to have. When if someone just like, if you do the open and a good workout comes up for you, you get carried away, then your ego skyrockets, or something bad comes up for you and you're not in the best nick you could be, you're then tanking your ego going into your season, you know? It's why I hate qualifiers, it's why I dodge them like the plague. If I can avoid them, I'll do it.
Double CrossFit Games athlete now, mate. You should just be getting an invite. It's not a qualifier shit.
Well, that's kind of what I'm leaning on these days. I think I did. I'm trying to think of comps I did last year. I did one in Cyprus and I did Sid, and I got invited to both of those. And I was going to do Lowlands, and I got my Sid invite, but I had to do qualifiers for Lowlands. And I just went, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'll just go to Sid. I'll just go to Sid instead, because I just hate them so much, and I never do that well in them. I'll always do better at the competition. It's like, yeah, you know, that's not the sport either. Qualifiers, you just got to be good enough at them that you can then go and do the sport, you know.
Yeah. So how does training look then? So we talked about like peaks and troughs in training and programming. For you guys now, what are we? 8 weeks away? Is it just fucking all go?
So the major changes are that the diversity of movements and things is a lot higher, in the sense that the equipment they've got access to is much larger than doing a semi-finals inside the gym, or even doing a semi-finals in person. Like, there's just so much more scope for things to do. But also, like, with teams, there's like it's like double the effect. It's like there's all these extra movements. Oh, and because there's other people involved, we can now add like weird synchro and alternating stuff and like all this kind of stuff. So really the job now is to just try and get as much exposure to as many of these things that might come up as possible. Training volume's definitely gone up. However, you're looking to try and add training volume in intelligent ways, because it's a 3-day competition. I imagine they're probably going to do 3 or 4 events a day. So it's going to be a lot more than you normally would at a normal competition or semi-finals. So you're looking to just sneak extra volume in ways that you can. So extra like low intensity work, maybe you're ramping the volume up of the amount of accessories that you're doing. So it's not super stressful in your body, but you're just trying to do more. And you'll pretty much take that volume up as high for as long as you can, and then we'll tail it off leading into the games, just so you've got this like real big surplus of work capacity, so that you've got the recovery at the competition. Whereas like when we're preparing for online semi-finals, you know you're not going to do very much volume. Like, the amount of work you're going to do in a weekend is going to be less than you'd normally do. So that is all about really pushing the intensity, so that when you do stuff, you're like going on it like 100%, like it's very, very fast, and you're doing this thing. So it's a little bit of a different prep. And that's kind of it, really. It's like expectations of volume. You need to be more resilient, so you can just keep coming back for more events. There's going to be stuff that's just like fucking insanely hard. Like, one thing we've been doing, we've just had them all ordered to the gym. We had sandbags before, but we're like, we need 90 kilo up to like 110 kilo sandbags, because like, this is where the experience does come in. And like, people that have been to the games will understand this, is that sometimes there's workouts that are so hard that you get about 2/3 of the way through, and you kind of just stop giving a shit like about where you're going to place, and you're more focused on just like surviving the workout. So also conditioning yourself to do things like that, and like those heavy sandbags are like a really good example of that, because people can do however many reps of like a 90 kilo sandbag. The games is probably going to add another like 50% on top of it. So when you reach that threshold of like what is sensible, how well can you hold yourself together past that? Whereas you compare that to like the team semi-finals workouts we did, we're going fast the whole way from start to finish, and then you finish and you're fucked because you've been going fast, but it's not like, there's not like massive breakdown. The individual semis workouts, they were some of the most savage workouts I've ever seen. there is breakdown happening in those, but obviously team and individual programs are a little bit different. But I think those workouts were designed to find out who needs to go to the CrossFit Games. So I think fair enough. But I was looking at those and I was just like, I'm so pleased I don't need to do these, because that is dreadful. Like that back squat, ring muscle up workout and the overhead walking lunge workout, like, fuck that.
Were there any that you like the look of?
The burpee shuttle one, like, I like the workout. It's not an amazing workout for me, but like I wouldn't mind getting stuck into that. Like that looks not enjoyable, but like it's just hurting. Like it's a lot of hurting and keeping the pace high and things like that. Whereas that dumbbell overhead walking lunge run or the back squat one, you're like in a rest period and you're just like, I do not want to do any more work, and I've got all of this in front of me, right? So like those workouts don't give you the option to slow down. You're either just standing there and doing absolutely nothing, or you're doing something that is very, very hard, and that's it. Whereas like that burpee shuttle one, like, yeah, if you don't want to hurt that bad, you just slow down. Like it's still going to hurt, obviously, but like that's the difference there. So whereas with the team workouts, they were just bouncy little things that you could kind of just like push your way through and finish on the floor and be like, oh, that was tough. But it's like, it's not that bad, you know. It's not as bad as doing hundreds of squats at 125.
No. So, you know, like in terms of training, obviously increasing the intensity, you're going to start like adding complexities and things like that. You know, like when you've worked so hard towards something for this period of time, obviously you've had like bad luck along the way. You finally get back there. Is it hard to kind of focus on training and not have one eye on, fuck me, I hope my knee don't go, or I hope something don't happen, or, you know what I mean? Is it, because obviously you can't think like that, but does that ever play into your thinking at all?
I hadn't thought about it, so you just said it, actually.
Awesome. That should put you up there.
No, it is a concern, but I think it's another thing with the experience. Like, you got to just be sensible. So like, I don't think if you take any of the top performers at the games, no one's having a clean run where they don't have any niggles or there's no things they need to lay off a little bit. And you just have to come to terms with that. Like, say you've got like shin splints or plantar fasciitis or whatever, like some really bad lower body injury that's like niggling, and you can't do heavy double unders, for example. Like, it's like sponsored by Velite, so it's almost 100% going to be heavy double unders. You've got to just forget about it. Like, rather than being like, oh, it feels all right today, I'll just like do a little bit of it. It's like, no, you need to just go through the recovery process and then hope that it goes your way when you get there, and just like try to be in the best condition as you can for the event, rather than just kind of ignoring the fact that you've got this injury just to do more of the movement, because the outcome of that's not going to be the best. And the only time that I've ever really suffered with that mindset is like years we haven't qualified. I've just buried my head in training, and I'm so desperate to get better, even though I'm like miles away from any competition, that I just like push through niggles, and I do things that I shouldn't. There's so much stuff you can work on that you need to just like forget about that. Because that's do you remember that year? It would have been like 2022, but there was Arnold's that year, and I actually really, really wanted to do that competition, and I just trained too hard and just ignored things, and I just fucked my knees up leading into it. I was like, because I was so distraught that we hadn't qualified, I was so desperate to prove myself. I trained so hard, and I was fit, but like, I just like destroyed my knees, and I was like, well, I can't do the competition now. And then I didn't do it. So you've got to look at it from that standpoint. Like, if there's something you can't do, you need to just like be sensible, do the right thing, and then like hope for the best outcome in the end, because everyone's got stuff as well. I think people sometimes live in a bubble that they don't think that every athlete's got a niggle or a limitation, when it's just like everyone who's pushing themselves as hard as they can has got something, and they're managing that thing. And the ones that perform better at the competition are the ones that manage it the best, because, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember.
I think with the top athletes, they all have to learn the hard way though.
Yeah, you'll go through that process.
You literally just have to learn the hard way.
I remember, 2019 games. I went to watch that, and I was staying in a place in Chicago called Park Ridge, and I dropped into a local box one morning. It were about probably 5 days out from the games, and Adler was there. I didn't really know him that, because I had to I asked the coach who it was after, and he was obviously at the games, and we were doing a workout. And there were no room on the run for him to run past everyone because obviously we're faster because we'd all took up the sidewalk and there were a big bush and a hedge. And he just sprinted and jumped over this hedge onto the road and then ran past everyone. And I was like, fuck me, who was that guy? And then when I was speaking to the coach after, you're like, oh, he's like competing. I was like, Jesus, and he's doing shit like that. And it made me think about that when you were talking about that. Then it's like, if you train at that level, that's just how you train, isn't it? You can't really do anything other than be who you are. And 5 days out from the games, he's jumping over a hedge in the middle of Park Ridge in Chicago just because he wanted to get past a fat bastard like me that were taking up path up.
That's like, like Ricky Garrard did his AC joint, like mountain biking though.
Yeah.
And people are like, what's he doing that for? Like, he's written off his season. It's like, that's just who he is. Like, he's gonna do that stuff, and you can't live in bubble wrap and be fucking terrified. Like, he probably, I don't know if he was doing jumps or something, like he was going off massive jumps. It's like, that's probably not the best idea, but it's like, you can't, if you really restrict yourself and you have that restrictive mindset, you're going to just be way worse off. You're not going to be as fit. Like this is the week after semis and I'm straight back in. Well, kind of, but I'm like, right, I need to start getting back on the pegboard. Might do pegboards at the games. Anyway, I'm like warming up. I feel I'm so knackered and I'm like warming up and I'm like, I have no right to be on here right now. And then as I'm like coming down from one, I've like taken this hand out. This peg just slides out like this and just goes bang, just smashes me in the face. We've got the CCTV footage of it. And I just go like this. It actually kind of looks like there's a gap in my mustache now. I might have ruined my face forever. I just go like this. There's just so much blood. I go look in the mirror. There's just this big gash in my face. And I just walk over to Helen. We literally just started training like for the second time that day. I just go, yeah, I think we're going to have to go to A&E. I've just like split my face open. And I'm like talking to doctors and stuff that we know. And they're like, yeah, you need stitches in that, like blah, blah, blah. But the first thing I did the next week, I just got back on the pegboard because I was just like, I can't then be scared of the pegboard because I'm going to smash myself in the face. Like, that's at the competition. I've got to just do it. So it's like, whatever. And I think it's a fine balance, right? Like pushing through pain's one thing, but you can't be scared of stuff. Like you can't be like, say athletes are doing their rope climbs and they're not jumping down because they're like, I don't want to roll my ankle because it's like 4 weeks out from the games. It's just like, just forget about it. Like you've got to just behave normally, right? And if you do get injured, it's just really unfortunate. And
you're more likely to get injured, aren't you? It's like, you'll know it from rugby, I know it from playing footy. If you go half-arsed into a tackle, you're going to get hurt. If you're going full-blooded, you're probably going to be all right. It's just the way it is, isn't it?
And if it's on your mind as well, right? It's not a good thing. So, it is a weird thing, but it's a bit of a subconscious thing as well, I guess, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
that's so true. Because I always thought that whenever I was playing rugby, like, I played at lots of like different levels. Like I played like quite a high level at university. Then sometimes I'd like play in like a memorial like charity match with like old school friends. And when I'm playing in the shitty charity match, I'm like, I'm gonna get fucking hurt here. Like people are just like, they're not pros. Like they don't care. They're not like as aware. And I'm not invested either. I'm just turning up to make the numbers up. And then when you play like seriously, you just don't even think about it. It's just task, right? You're just doing the thing. Not that I ever got hurt doing that, but I remember that feeling of just being fucking shitting myself when it's not serious.
Yeah. Interesting, mate. So, like if you do get an injury now in the team, what happens? How does that process work? Can you swap people out?
Yeah, we've got 2 reserves. Will Kean is the male reserve. I sold it to him and I was like, I say sold it to him. We had a few options, but like he's probably just the easiest because he's just in the gym. Like he was doing the open out the gym, like whatever. And I was like, if someone gets hurt, like we're gonna ask you to step in if you're happy to be the reserve. And he was like, yeah, like all good. And then I go, but you need to wear, like, all your game stash going to say AOD on it. So, and then, but I think he'd be so happy to be at the games that he'd probably just wave that.
Yeah, definitely.
And then the female reserve is Lauren Hunter. So similarly, because she was just at the gym, like she's doing all the workouts. It's one of those that, like, if either one of those guys needs to step in, it's less than ideal, but at least you've got someone that you know and you're familiar with, and you still get to have an experience with them. And I don't want to upset anyone here, but even if neither of them are necessarily like team members that you would qualify with, both of them still have qualities and things that they're very good at. So it's not like you might be held back in some places, but it's not like it's going to kill the weekend, you know. Like, you just got to be a little bit strategic in the sense that it's like, we can really go on this. We've got to push this. Like, obviously this isn't going to be as good. So, so we're all covered in that sense. We actually asked Mike, but he said no.
He didn't want to be that bad luck guy. He didn't want to prove that point, did he?
Also, he's obviously, he'll be coaching, and his intention was obviously always to be coaching. So I didn't ask him seriously. I was just like, I'm assuming you're not able to do this. And he was just like, no, I can't do that. So fair. Yeah. But he's doing some qualifiers at the moment. He's on his comeback.
Is it?
Yeah, he's doing Wadsalona. I think he's doing threes, like same-sex threes. But I always like seeing him come back into the fold because he obviously doesn't train quite like he used to.
Yeah, I've seen his stories, and that seems like he's been doing a bit recently. So see how that pans out.
He does train. He does train religiously. Like, he's not dropped off the face of the earth, but it's not what it was in the sense that he's not doing loads of shit that's just really shit, you know. Like,
well, he hasn't got a big goal at the end of it that he's like putting his life on hold to go.
He doesn't need to put himself through it.
Yeah, because it isn't easy, is it?
No.
When do you guys head out? When do you go out over there?
So we're going out maybe it'll be the Saturday before. So it'll be like 6 days before the games, and
straight to Albany.
We're going to fly into Boston, and then we'll be driving to Albany, and we've basically got like a massive house with all the AOD crew in it. So Harry and his entourage, the team, and all of their people are in there. So it should be good. It should be a good environment to be staying in. I know that Harry's actually going out 2 weeks prior to us because he got so stung by the climate in Texas that he's scared that it's going to happen again in New York State. But I was like, bro, the climate's going to probably be pretty similar. Like, it might be a bit warmer if they're having a bit of a hot period. But he was like, nah, I'm going 3 weeks before. So that's fair. Like, whatever he wants. I think if it were hotter, like if it were still in Texas, we'd probably have to look to push it an extra week. Like, when you're looking at acclimating, you do need like 2 weeks, a little bit over 2 weeks to kind of get back on a level.
How close are you to the arena? Will it be like once you leave the house, are you gone for the day, or will you be able to get back and have a nap and all that shit? Oh.
No, I think it's like, it'll be like a 20-25 minute drive, so we probably will just stay in. But from experience, there's not really many gaps. Like, it's not much. Like, you might get an hour off or something like that. But you literally never know. They might just do like one event a day for the teams. It's only 3. It's only 3 days, isn't it? So I'll be interested to see what they do with that schedule.
My hotel's pretty close, mate. So if you need to nip back for a nap, I'll let you use my room, mate. That's fine. I'll just maybe put a mic in front of your nose and see how things are going.
Yeah.
I'm buzzing, mate, though, because I text you, said I booked my tickets, and I'm just like, I was deliberating whether to go, and I'm like, how can I not go and watch these fucking guys, man? Like, I feel like I've been on the journey with you for like 4 years. You've managed to qualify after I stopped sponsoring you, which were very much appreciated.
Maybe
But,
that was maybe you were the bad omen.
I'm thinking about Lois. It was me, weren't it? Jesus. Fucking hell, sorry about that, mate. Right, mate. Before I let you go, we've got the quick questions to do. So, you know what Mike's like. So, Mike was my last live guest, and his question that he left was, and he came at it from a physicist's point of view. It was very clear to point that out. How do you think the universe will end?
Yeah, he was like this. Yeah, I've got a physics question for you that it might be a bit big, but we're going to try it anyway. Yeah. So how do you think the universe will end? Well, the universe is ever expanding, so maybe it won't. The Earth will end when there'll be some kind of the end of the human race, and the Earth will end. There'll just be some cataclysmic event, or the sun only has finite time as well. But the universe, what a question. I'm going to say it's infinite and it'll be going on forever.
You know what I heard about it, mate? Because it fucking terrifies and fascinates me, when you start delving into the outer space.
You definitely believe in aliens, don't you? Like the whole Roswell thing. You're all over that.
You've got to, haven't you? The little green men everywhere, mate. Yeah. But yeah, I heard that. I didn't hear. It was I think it was I can't remember his name. That guy, Brian Cox. Yeah, he said that the universe is expanding at the exact same rate of which gravity is increasing enough to keep it all together. And if it ever became out of sync with each other, then it'd be
out of equilibrium. Yeah,
which is just mental, isn't it? To think of something that's doing the exact opposite to something that it blows my mind. All that stuff.
It's not scary to think about because we'll just be dead. So sound.
Yeah, that's all right. Maybe I'll delve into it after a few white claws with Mike in Albany.
Yeah, there's literally physicists, scientists, whatever. They make themselves mentally ill with the scope of it, trying to come to an understanding and the whole thing. They literally will melt themselves down because it's just it never ends and there's no answers and they're not going to get the answers because it's without outside of the realms of what we're capable of. So they're all very smart people, but they've also got this darkness inside them because they just can't scratch the itch, all I need to do is just go to the games with my team, have a good time. That's the itch scratch.
Well, that's pretty simple, mate. Well, getting to games isn't that simple, but Joe Rogan said it on a podcast recently, mate. He said that about that. When you put it like that about the universe, he went, I'm just going to go with God. It just makes more sense.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. So go on, mate. Leave me a question. Your last question. That was a good one. And he went. He went fingers for teeth. The guy that answered that question. Can't remember if he said why. But
okay. I'll go for. He went fingers for teeth.
No, he didn't actually. He said he went teeth for fingers, and then we talked about the fact that then he could chew his food up in his hand before he.
Oh, he'd smash it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't do anything with that.
Well, no, I was just thinking about I've been single for 1.5 years, mate. I'd been banging trouble.
Right. I can't think of what. I'll probably have to go for something CrossFit related.
Do that.
Just to bring it back down, because I feel like there's just been this elevation. We've got to just bring it back down. What would you rather be able to do? Snatch 140 or go sub 60 minutes on a high rocks? Because I'd actually probably say that they're fairly similar feats. The number of people that could probably do both of those might be quite similar. I don't know. The high rocks might need to be a little faster. Yeah,
the next guest is Jake Chapman. He's got a show on Savon podcast called The Base Show. It's him. So I think he's going to want to snatch 140. I think he's all about the lift
Shifting
rather
Tim.
than the fitness. Yeah.
Shifting Tim.
Yeah. Right, mate. Thank you very much. The next time we do this, it might be in person, mate, if you let me have a nibble at you during the games.
We could go live. We could go live from the AOD Social Sunday night in Albany if you want.
Well, I'll have a car, mate, so I could drive us back to the mansion, do your interview, then come back to my hotel. So we could figure something out. Awesome. Sweet. Right, cheers for jumping on, bro.
See ya.